Hello friend, welcome back to my channel. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. It's Tim here, and in this video, I'll be guiding you through the steps to create this space-inspired landscape painting. This painting would be great for beginners or for digital painters with any skill level. We'll be covering a lot of fun painting topics and techniques in this video. I love painting space, and it's been a little while since my last space-themed one, so I'm super excited to share this tutorial with you. Upcoming here are the hex codes for the color palette, a very simple list in this video, and I also have them available in the description if you just want to copy and paste them over. Here's what they look like in expanded palette view and then in compact palette view. And if you need help on how to insert hex codes into a color palette, I do have a video up on my channel on how to do this, so definitely go check it out if you need it. Upcoming here are the main brushes used in this video, mostly just using the soft airbrush, the technical pen, and the light pen. And I'm using the Apple Pencil Generation 2, and I have my screen set to P3. The toolbar here shows which tool I'm using throughout the tutorial. The first step of our tutorial is to take a screenshot of our trace outline layer here. And in a blank square-sized canvas on Procreate, you're going to turn the opacity of this screenshot layer down. Then you're going to fit the edges of the corners to the screen here, just like this. Then you're going to add a new blank layer over the top. And I would recommend using the technical pen with this and using the color black. And in this new blank layer, you're going to trace over the outline. That way you have a guide for your painting. Please feel free to take any breaks that you might need along the way. And when you're ready, let's begin. All right, so let's go ahead and turn our trace outline layer down. Let's do like 12%. Let's go ahead and add a new layer. And we are going to grab the paintbrush with the technical pen. And let's start with the fourth color in the first row. Let's do full size and full opacity. And we're going to trace over top of the planet circle here. And you're going to hold it down to create a circle, and then you're going to tap the screen, which will create a perfect circle. Just like that. So we're going to go ahead and use color drop. And we're going to drop it into the empty white space here, just like that. We're going to go ahead and take this layer and put it on alpha lock. Let's add a new layer. And then we're going to put that layer underneath of it. So we're going to go ahead and let's grab the soft airbrush. And let's do full size and full opacity. And let's grab the second color in the second row. And we're going to paint over top of this entire circle here, just like that. Let's go ahead and shrink our brush size to around 50% or so, still full opacity. And let's grab the first color in the first row. And we're going to paint just a couple of random dots over top of this entire color area here, just like that. Let's grab the third color in the second row. And we're going to repeat that step. In between, kind of overlapping the dots just a little bit, still allowing the background color still to show through. Let's go ahead and grab the fourth color in the second row. And we're going to repeat that same step, adding as little or as many dots as you'd like. Let's just do kind of repeating that. And it looks kind of crazy right now. Actually, it kind of looks like a petri dish right now, which looks a little crazy, but I promise we're going to do something fun here in just a minute. Let's grab the fifth color in the second row, and we're going to put just a couple of these orange dots throughout. Just kind of like that. Nothing too crazy. So once you're happy with your colors, we're going to go ahead and use Gaussian blur. Let's blur it to around 12%. So we're going to go ahead. Let's use the liquefy tool. And we're going to up our brush size. Let's do like 63%, 62% or so. And then we're still going to use push. And let's up the pressure to 100%. Let's up the distortion. Let's do around 70%. And let's up the momentum to around 24, 25% or so. And watch what happens. It's going to be so much fun to create this planet with all of these colors. Ooh. And you can play with this effect as little or as much as you'd like. And let's shrink our brush size. Let's do around 31% or so. And I'm going to just do a couple of these. You're just going to kind of flick across and you kind of get these beautiful color blends. And because we went outside of the lines underneath, we still have all of that teal around the edges. So you can kind of bring that color back in sporadically, creating this super cool effect for our planet. Kind of creates like a marbling effect. I guess that's the best way to describe this, but it'll create a really cool planet for us here in just a moment. I like that. So once you're happy with your planet color, let's go ahead and turn that off. We're going to go ahead and add another new layer. And let's grab the paintbrush now with the soft airbrush. Let's just do full size and full opacity. And let's grab the second color in the first row, the color black. Starting about right here. We're going to paint just along this edge here, just like this. Kind of like a crescent moon shape, almost like a sideways Cheshire cat smile. Like that. Then grabbing the first color in the first row. Starting about right here. Whoa. Starting about right here. We're going to kind of repeat that, overlapping the two here. And then coming down here and ending about right there. Now let's use Gaussian blur. And we're going to blur this layer out, which will create a slight shadow for the edge of our planet. And we're going to turn this way down. Let's turn it down to let's do 58%. We're going to go ahead and add another new layer. Let's put that layer into soft light. Grabbing the second color in the first row again, the color black. We're going to repeat that same step from before, going over the top here like this, creating that Cheshire cat smile on the left-hand side, and then repeating it again with the first color in the first row on the right-hand side. Now using Gaussian blur, let's go ahead and blur that out. Let's blur it to around, let's do 40%. I'm going to go ahead and turn this layer down. Let's turn the opacity down to around 70%. Let's go ahead and create a duplicate of this first layer. Now let's use Gaussian blur on the duplicate again. And let's blur this layer to around 38%. All right, so we're going to go back up to that first layer here. Let's go ahead and add another new layer over the top. Let's go ahead and start on this left-hand side. And we're going to grab, let's use the technical pen. No. Let's go down to about 53% brush size, full opacity. And let's grab the first color in the second row. And starting on this left-hand side, we're going to start painting dots, but we're not going to, it would help if I was using the paintbrush. Let's go ahead and start on this left-hand side and paint some dots, working our way across in rows, and we're putting them in random places. And I'm going to just use this upper quadrant first. And then we're going to come down here and repeat the process again, working our way across. And I'm kind of varying the dot size too. You don't want them to be too even. Then I'm going to repeat that again. And I'm being careful not to overlap the edge. Not yet, anyways. They don't need to be super, like you don't need to fill in every single blank space. But enough to have a decent coverage. Like medium to heavy coverage, if that makes sense. And you can always fill in with some smaller dots if you like there, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and step back here. Let's go ahead and create a duplicate of this layer. Then we're going to flip it horizontally. And I have snapping on. And I'm going to put this in this upper corner here. Just like that. And then where these two areas meet, I'm just going to fill that in just with some random dots. And I'm going to come over here too. Let's add just a couple of random dots in just ever so often, just to kind of differentiate it just a little bit from the other side. Just like that. Let's go ahead and merge those two layers together. And then we're going to duplicate that layer. Let's go ahead and flip it vertically. And I'm going to back up here just a little bit. And we're going to bring this down here. When you're happy with your placement, I'm going to go ahead and fill in this blank space just with some random stars here. That way both sides will be a little bit different and not match 100%. I'm going to come into this area. Let's add just a couple throughout these spaces. And at this point, it really doesn't matter if it overlaps the edge. It just mattered in the beginning. That way, when you copied it, you didn't end up with any half stars, if that makes sense. I'm going to add just a couple in here. I'm going to add just a couple in there. Let's go ahead and fill this side in now. How are you guys today? Let me know below in the comments. I've not been feeling so good recently. I think there's something going around again. Which is, it always happens on the weekends too. Do you guys get sick on the weekends? That usually seems to happen to me. And I'm just kind of adding in a couple of extra stars just here and there, because I forgot to say it. So I'm going to back up here. Let's go ahead and merge these two layers together. We're going to create a duplicate of this layer. On this duplicate layer, let's go ahead and use Gaussian blur. I'm going to zoom up here so it's a little easier to see. Let's blur it to around 9%. And now let's merge these two layers together. Now that these layers are merged together, let's go ahead and turn the opacity way down. Let's turn it down to like 16%. Now we're going to come in here. So let's go ahead and add another new layer. And let's grab the fifth color in the second row, the color orange. Now we're going to add some of these orange stars in here, just very, very lightly. I'm going to put them in just very randomly. We don't want a ton of them. I'm alternating my hand pressure. That way I get different size stars. I'm going to work my way down here. This will kind of help break up any patterns too from the stars before. It just kind of helps add a little bit more depth in the background. The orange stars are more far away than the blue ones are. These are going to be like the most distant stars. But we're just kind of repeating this across. Adding as little or as many as you'd like. It's kind of therapeutic just to paint dots. I don't know why that is. Do you guys like painting dots? There's kind of a ASMR quality to it. I didn't like that dot. And then we're just finishing up here on this right-hand corner. Just like that. And then we're going to connect the two areas. When you're happy with your orange stars, let's go ahead and create a duplicate of them. And we're going to repeat that same step from before, so using Gaussian blur. Let's go ahead and blur that layer to around. Let's do about 9%. We're going to merge the two orange layers together, and we're going to turn this layer way down to, let's turn it down to around 17%. So it's very subtle, but it does create some nice variegation in the background. And I wanted to take a quick moment to thank you so much for supporting my channel, friend. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. Please let me know below what you think, and I invite you to leave me your favorite space-themed emoji in the comments. So let's go ahead and add another new layer. And let's grab the first color in the second row again. And let's up our brush size a little bit. Let's go to around 55%. Still full opacity. And we're going to paint some new stars over top of the ones we just did in random order. And we're going to repeat that across the entire image again. Adding as little or as many as you'd like. And I am in a mood to add quite a few. So this painting is going to have a ton of stars, which I'm sure will make Cosmo very happy. And that is the name of my little sidekick. I don't know that I've ever actually said his name on my channel before, but his name is Cosmo. So Cosmo was a creation. It was an accident creation. I've been Tim Star Studio for a while, and I was doing these. And in my head, I had a coloring book planned, and I got it created, and I didn't end up loving it. But I wanted to put a little symbol that was for my name, and then I drew the little star, and then so a long time ago, when I was a kid, I used to love drawing these little characters with these humongous eyeballs, and I stuck the huge eyes on the star, and it went through a couple of different iterations, and this one I just fell in love with, and he's kind of stuck. So that is how Cosmo came to be. And we're basically just, oops, that got a little heavy-handed there. Just finishing that up. You know what? I like it. Let's leave that one. Kind of creates the illusion of a little galaxy, a slightly bigger cluster right there. And we're just finishing that off. Oh, let's add a couple right there. Just like that. So let's go ahead and we're going to actually use hue and saturation on this layer, and we're going to turn the brightness down a little bit Let's turn it down to around 42%. And I think we're going to do one last layer of stars. So let's go ahead and add another new layer. And now using the paintbrush, let's go ahead and grab the light pen. And I think we're still going to use, let's go ahead and still use that first color in the second row again. Let's do like 12% brush size, like 80% or so opacity. And we're going to do this really light-handed. I'm going to add just a couple of these bright stars, just in a random pattern, just to kind of add some flair, some spice. So now that I've got a small area of stars created, I'm going to go ahead and create a duplicate of this layer. And let's turn it, let's rotate it like 2 times and flip it horizontally. And we're going to move it, let's move it right there. Let's go ahead and create a third duplicate of that original layer. And let's flip it vertically. And let's flip it horizontally too. And we're going to move it over to this right-hand corner. I'm going to fill in just a couple of stars here and there just to kind of make it random. Still staying away from that edge. Let's fill in a couple up there. I feel like that side was missing a couple. When you're happy with the way it looks, let's go ahead and merge those 3 layers together. Let's create another duplicate of it. Then I'm going to flip the duplicate vertically. And we're going to move this down. And I am finding snapping to be easier to use on this, so I actually would recommend to use snapping on this one. So to turn that on, you'll just tap the button and turn on snapping. Sometimes magnetics is helpful, but on this one, just snapping. We're going to go ahead and fill this area in here just randomly. We're going to repeat that on this other side here. When you're happy with your stars, let's go ahead and create a duplicate of this layer. Now let's use Gaussian blur on the duplicate. And blur it to around 15%. That looks good. Let's go ahead and merge those 3 layers together. And we're going to turn the opacity down. Let's turn it down to around 47%. Let's go ahead and add another new layer. And let's grab the paintbrush now. Let's use the soft brush. And let's do 11% brush size with full opacity. And let's grab the third color in the first row. And starting up here on the top left corner, we're going to paint a bar across the top edge here, ending on that right-hand side. And then we're going to paint another bar right underneath of it here, just like that. Then we're going to repeat the same step on the bottom from left to right. And then again, right on top of it here. So you should end up with what look like old school movie bars across the top and the bottom. Now let's use Gaussian blur. Blur it to around 59%. And let's put this layer into soft light. And let's turn the opacity down. Let's turn the opacity down to around 69%. So let's go ahead and add another new layer. And let's grab the paintbrush now with the soft airbrush. Let's do like 76% brush size. 36% or so opacity. Let's grab the fourth color in the second row, and using circular scrubbing paint strokes, just very lightly, in kind of just a scribbly motion, we're going to paint some color around the top edge of our planet here. Just like that, ending on that right-hand side. Now we're going to repeat that again on the bottom, working our way down and across. Just like that. Let's shrink our brush size. Let's go to 43% brush size, and let's shrink it to around 25% opacity. And let's grab the second color in the second row, and using circular scrubbing paint strokes again, just around this top edge, we're going to paint some color over the top. Just random squiggles. Just like that, ending on that right-hand side. And let's repeat that, kind of connecting those two areas, and then repeating that again along the bottom edge here. I'm kind of just varying my hand pressure too from more opaque to lighter, which will give you something that looks like that. Let's go ahead and use Gaussian blur. Let's blur that layer to around 43%. And we're going to turn this layer way down. Let's turn it down to around 28%. Using hue and saturation, let's up the saturation all the way. Let's up it to max. Actually, let's adjust the opacity again. Let's turn it down just a little bit more. Let's go to like 16%. Let's add a new layer. Let's put that layer into add. And let's grab the second color in the second row. Let's do like 72% brush size with around 15% opacity. And using a very light hand with those same swirling paint strokes, let's go ahead and repeat that step, adding a little bit of color above and below, working from left to right over top of the planet. Let's repeat that along the bottom side edge. I'll give you something that looks like that, and I am varying my hand pressure to kind of give some more opaque areas and some lighter areas here. Let's go ahead and grab the blending tool now with the soft airbrush. Let's do full size and like 13% opacity. And we're going to just very, very light-handedly buff and blend this out. I don't want to blend all the texture away. We're just kind of softening any edges. And then we're going to repeat that along the bottom side. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this layer down. Let's turn it down to around 62%. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to work back under here. So we're going to go ahead and grab the layer that is the planet color. And now we're going to up our saturation. Using hue and saturation, let's up it to around let's do 58%. Just increases the brightness a little bit. Now let's go ahead and come back up here to the top. Let's go ahead and create a copy canvas layer here and paste it over the top. Let's go ahead and add another new layer. And let's grab the paintbrush now with the light pen. Let's do around 14% brush size and 81% opacity. And using the first color in the second row, let's go ahead and paint a couple of detail stars just very light-handedly, starting on this left-hand side. And now we're going to work on to the right-hand side. And I am alternating my hand pressure again to get bigger and smaller stars. And I'm being very light-handed because a little of these detail stars go a really long way. We're going to work onto this right-hand side. And I'm kind of just zooming back to see what they look like from a distance. Let's go ahead and add some across this bottom edge now. Into this left-hand corner. And then working back up into our upper left-hand corner, adding just a couple over here too. Let's add a couple over those dark areas. They really pop against the darkest edges. Adding as little or as many as you'd like. I love painting galaxies. I hope you guys are enjoying the tutorial so far. I haven't painted space in quite a while. I got re-inspired by looking through some of my old paintings, and I was like, I haven't done this in a while. And I feel like it's time to bring it back. So I think I'm going to do a couple more of these. You have to let me know below. If you have any thoughts of color schemes or other space celestial related things to paint, let me know below. So when you're happy with your stars, I'm going to go ahead and turn this layer down just a little bit. Let's turn it down to about 62%. And the key to stars is a layering effect. It's just continuously adding bigger and less of them as we get closer and closer to the viewer. It creates a really nice, almost 3D effect to them. All right, so let's go ahead and add another new layer. And we're going to put that layer into Add. Let's go ahead and grab the paintbrush with the light pen. And we are going to use the second color in the second row. And we're going to paint a circle around our planet here, and then holding it down. And then I'm going to tap the screen, and then I'm going to line it up with the edges here, just like that. Let's go ahead and use Gaussian blur. And blur that to around 30%. I'm going to go ahead and turn this layer down just a little bit. Let's turn it down to like 40%, and then we're going to repeat that step. So let's go ahead and add a new layer again, then put it into add mode. And let's go ahead and zoom up here using the same color, which is the second color in the second row. Let's go to like 8% brush size. And then we're going to paint another circle around, holding it down and then tapping the screen, lining it up there. Now let's use Gaussian blur and blur that to around 23%. We're going to turn this down just a little bit. Let's turn it down to around 51%. So let's go ahead and zoom up here. Let's add another new layer, and we're going to put this layer into soft light, and let's grab the second color in the first row. Let's grab the paintbrush now with the soft airbrush. Let's do full size, and actually let's just do full opacity. And grabbing the second color in the second row, Let's paint a small circle of color here in the middle of the planet, just like that. Now using Gaussian blur, let's blur this layer out. Let's blur it to around 39%. We're going to turn this layer way down. Let's turn it down to around 34%. Just gives our planet a little bit more depth. So now we're going to paint some highlight on top of our planet. Let's go ahead and add another new layer, and we're going to put that layer into add. Let's grab the paintbrush with the soft airbrush. Let's do like 10% brush size, full opacity, grabbing the second color in the second row. And very light-handedly, just cross here like this. I'm going to add just a little bit of highlight to the center there. Now let's use Gaussian blur and blur that to around, let's blur that to around 10%. Let's go ahead and switch over to the liquify tool again. And let's shrink our brush size a little bit. Let's go to like 32%. And we're going to just have fun adding just a little bit of highlight over top of this planet. Creates such a cool liquid effect. I absolutely love what this brush can do. And let's shrink it a little bit. Let's go in here and really add some swirl to these edges. Just creates a really fun highlight. When you're happy with your effect, we're going to actually turn this highlight down a little bit. Let's go ahead and turn this layer down. Let's turn it down to around 44%. So that creates a really fun, really cool highlight over the top. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add another new layer. Let's put that layer into soft light. Let's grab the second color in the first row. Let's grab the paintbrush now with the soft brush. Let's do 17% brush size with full opacity. And we're going to paint a giant stripe of color across the top here, just like this. And then across the bottom. Now let's use Gaussian blur. And we're going to blur that to around, I'm liking that. Let's blur that to around 63%. We're going to go ahead and turn this layer down just a little bit. Let's turn it down to around 65%. And I think we should add just a couple more detail stars. So let's add another new layer. And zoom up here. Let's grab the light pen. Let's still use the first color in the second row. Let's do like 11% brush size with like 55% opacity. And just very light-handedly, we're going to add some more brighter detail stars, just very sparingly across our sky. And I'm going to do these by hand. I'm not going to do any copy and paste with these, just so they're a little more organic. And I'm kind of pressing harder on some of them, just so we get a little bit of brightness on just a couple. Working my way across. Then working my way up this right-hand side. Finishing my way on the right-hand edge. Just like that. So let's go ahead, when you're happy with your stars, let's go ahead and create a duplicate of this layer. Let's go ahead and use Gaussian blur on it. And we're going to blur that layer to around 11%. I'm going to go ahead. Let's bring our trace outline layer up. Sorry, this painting, I left our trace outline in the dust. I went wild on this one. We went off into uncharted waters or unexplored territory. I don't know. You let me know below what the right phrase for that one is. We're winging it on this one. So let's go ahead and bring the trace outline layer back up to the top. I'm actually going to use hue and saturation and bring the brightness all the way back up so I can see it. Now, where I've got these little marks at, so I think it'll be cute to have a little shooting star in here. So let's go ahead and add a new layer. Still using the paintbrush with the light pen. Let's do around 8% brush size, like 37% opacity. Still using that first color in the second row. And I think it might be easier to turn this. So let's turn the page. And what I'm doing, I'm kind of pressing down and then lifting up my brush a little bit and like not as heavy at the end. Starting by pressing down and then kind of lifting the brush up just a little bit with lighter pressure. Creates like the perfect shooting star shape. So let's go ahead and move this over on top of the outline. I'm going to tilt that just a little bit so it matches. Let's go ahead and create a duplicate of it. And then on the underneath duplicate, let's use Gaussian blur. And let's do like 15%. Let's go ahead and turn our trace outline layer off. Let's go ahead and create a copy canvas layer and paste it over the top. Let's use hue and saturation. Let's do like 54%. We're going to go ahead and use sharpen. And we're going to only sharpen it up to like 8%. And we're done. Now let's sign our painting. I am so proud of you, friend. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. I hope you had fun painting today, and I hope you learned something new. Let me know below what you think of the video. I absolutely love painting space and definitely have some more ideas for future space-themed tutorials. And if you want to continue painting, I do have a ton of other tutorials now up on my channel to discover, so definitely go check those out. And if you like this video and want to see more content like this, I invite you to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps my channel out. And until next time, friend, please take care of yourself and happy painting.